Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our meeting of the East Bridgewater Planning Board for Monday, September 15th, 2025. It is 7:03 p.m. We'll call the meeting to order at this time. Present and acting on behalf of the board this evening, we have our regular members, Diane Phillips, Rachel Tedesco, Dwayne Crosby, our Vice Chairman, Roy Gardner, myself, Kevin Riley, and our alternate, our associate member, rather, Yvonne McCrae. Number of items to go through tonight. We do have some minutes for the meeting of June 16th. If everybody's had an opportunity to review those, if there are any questions or comments, we would take those. Fine job by Mrs. Tedesco in preparing those minutes. And assuming not,
Make a motion to accept.
motion is made to approve the minutes in the form presented and waiving the formal reading of those for June 16th. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Seconded by Mrs. Phillips. The motion from Mr. Crosby. All those in favor, or is there any discussion? None. All those in favor of that motion so signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed. Unanimous vote of all members present and voting. We do have a Form A application for the property at 425 Winter Street. This is an application from from Laurie Saras, owner of same, looking to separate what appears to be a 5+ acre lot into Lot 1B and 1C, one of approximately 2.3 acres, the other one remaining at 3.1 acres. Questions, comments from the board before we...
Yeah, I have a question and a comment, I guess we could say, is that,
Okay.
based on the plan as it's currently drawn, it appears the wetlands and floodplain zone line is actually superimposed on this directly off the GIS maps that are on file at the assessor's office and available online. A review of that site seems to indicate that the first 30 or 40 feet fronting on Winter Street appears to be that area where water collects in the seasonal flooding along Winter Street, and appears to actually be wetlands under the Wetlands Protection Act. So a question I have is that, has this plan been filed with conservation yet?
Not yet. Not, is that an act of?
Well, you guys can come up and just, I didn't realize that folks were here for that, so certainly come on up.
Thank
and-
you for having us.
Yeah, well, absolutely. Yeah, thank you for coming.
yeah,
Just
it's-
identify yourself for the record, if you will.
I am owner of the property.
Okay,
And my son, I'm Laurie, that's Jeffrey.
very nice. Okay, pleasure to meet you.
You as well. We've worked with Carl Garvey, surveyor, who's actually worked on the property in the past, from his pre-existing plans. We looked to see if we could lot this area out for a home where we're splitting the lot into a second section. In terms of conservation, I don't believe that that is anything that he's done. If he has, I'm not aware of it. So I'm a novice to this process, the first time that
So
we've ever done
let me
this.
explain the issues here.
Yes.
Under the Form A requirements under the subdivision control law, to get a plan signed is subdivision approval not required, which means basically we just sign the plan and you can then go ahead and sell the lot. It has to be demonstrated that access from the street to the buildable portion of the lot can be done without having to cross wetlands. It appears from my knowledge of that area, as well as a recent drive-by, that area hasn't been maintained, cleared, mowed, or anything. It's pretty overgrown from the looks I could see the last time I went by there. And it is an area that does flood annually, right on the street line there.
May I? I'm sorry. I have that hayed. The majority of my property is hayed.
Understood?
Okay, so there's never any trees or anything there. It's an open field. Now, if the access from the road to get to my open field, you're considering too wet, can I allow him to come in from the other driveway? You can't do that?
No.
Okay.
Access for a Form A lot, access has to be through the legal street frontage without action by any other town boards. So there is no flagging shown, so I assume that Mr. Garvey didn't hire a wetlands expert to actually flag that street line?
He did do the wetlands.
The line that's on that plan doesn't show flagging. It just shows the line that was dropped directly off of the GIS map, and that's an approximation. It needs to be flagged, and those flags need to be shown on the plan to validate the fact that it's upland that you have to cross from the street to get out to the area.
There's a,
I also looked at 4 different aerial views of that. It appears that that entire frontage back as much as 40 or 50 feet over the years has never been mowed. There's clear vegetative growth there that's not cut. You can clearly see the cut line back about 50 feet from the street, based on the scale of the GIS maps.
where my house is, I'm sorry, where my house is, look from the street, looking at my house, to the left, behind my barns, that's an all open field. There are no trees,
Understand that, but your barn's 100 feet back
okay?
or more.
Is it?
You can't get off the street directly from the street onto that property without crossing that low area that's in front.
Could I, there is a big red, pink flag out there, actually. Can I use my driveway where he's family? Can we split my driveway, get rid of the barns?
No,
You can't knock the barns down and make a driveway?
not without changing the plan.
Okay, but would
So
that be doable?
I think it would depend upon what ultimately turns out. If this is flagged as wetlands across the entire neck, if you will, of this lot,
Okay.
then you may have to, reconfigure something, that would just make it other than a straight line.
Okay, so it sounds, from what I'm hearing, I need to go back to our surveyor and have this conversation about bringing in some sort of a conservation expert. And
A wetlands botanist typically is the person you have to have flagged that.
Yeah. Okay.
Once it's flagged, if it's clear that there's no wetlands between the street and the buildable area of the lot, which is back 300 some odd feet, then we could sign the Form A plan at that point.
Okay.
If he flags it as wetlands, then before we could sign the plan, you'd need to go to Conservation Commission and get the rights to do a crossing there. If you have the rights to do a crossing, once you have that crossing in place, then we could sign the Form A plan.
Okay.
Or I think there's enough that they can alter that line, if they would get rid of one of the sheds.
Buildings are pretty close.
That's what I was suggesting.
I'm not sure that,
I mean, that would be something for Mr. Garvey to take a look at,
Yeah.
maybe that line could be adjusted somehow to
Okay.
get you through there and avoid
I
any,
adjusted where the bonds are.
right, and if,
because what shows on the plan right now is a dotted line, which traditionally, based on surveying standards, that's the line that comes off the GIS maps.
Okay.
If in fact there were flags there, there'd be X's with flags noted on the plan. And there is no flags noted on the plan, so.
Okay.
All right,
All right.
so,
He's free to, Mr. Garvey's free to talk to me if he's got a question about that. I think he should understand that, but
okay.
Okay. All right.
You had mentioned the two different lots. I'm not sure if Garvey gave you the lot behind the houses too?
so we've got 2 lots.
Can I show you this? Is that all right? If I do it real fast?
well, certainly,
Cool.
certainly,
Come
bring it up.
This one here, he just recently had done, he said I could put one here, and that is. He said I actually have 2 lots. This one and this one. This one here is behind my house, it is right.
Yeah, I believe this one is. The area that looks like wetlands starts somewhere in this area from here to here.
Yeah, see, this is all open.
Yeah.
Beyond this is the wet and the trees, not this right here.
Well, it's hard to tell when you drive by, but shortly after I passed the area where the house and the shed was, it's all overgrown. And it looks like it's mowed back in here somewhere.
Yeah, past, yeah, okay, here's my house, and here's my bonds, and then after the bonds, we have an open field.
Yeah, but that open field starts back here somewhere.
Well, it starts, well, the open field.
Where it's
starts
cut,
there,
where it's cut
yeah,
is
yeah.
back here.
Yeah.
It's not cut out near the
It's up
street.
a couple feet from the road.
There's the rock wall
Yeah,
and also
there's the rock
where
wall.
the.
So it
Yep.
it sounds like you know, if we wanted to do this,
So let me ask a question along those lines, because theoretically, those could be estate lots, what's called estate lots, which would mean you need 40 feet of frontage here. On this plan, he's only showing 29 feet, which is not enough to make a legal frontage. It's got to be minimum 40 feet. So although he's labeled that as a lot under East Bridgewater zoning, that can't be a lot. It has to be 40 feet out here.
Well, could I take some of mine?
You absolutely could. But again, he'd have to do a different plan that shows that it would be under our estate lot bylaw. And the next question, to make it an estate lot, how long has that land, all of this land, been in common ownership?
Oh, mine was my aunt's, I've had it now 20 years.
Was that in common ownership prior to 1985?
did she, how far back does it go in the family?
No, she died in 2008.
When did she purchase?
Oh, geez, they have a dairy farm across the street, filmed all that.
I mean,
Way
the
back.
40s or 50s, it's
Yeah.
been to a family.
So in that case, then theoretically, that could be an estate lot?
Okay.
This could also be an estate lot, which would mean it only needs 40 feet of frontage?
Depending upon what the width of that wetlands area is, that might get you
Okay,
without having to do too much alteration of lines and such.
okay.
So, something he could look at.
And what would be the difference in an estate lot documented on a plan versus, let's say, what you have in hand?
That's still a Form A plan under our current subdivision control law.
Okay.
The estate lot bylaw, I
What would-
think, is,
Sorry, what would you need, a new map to
well,
identify?
all estate lots have to have two critical items. One is that it has to have been in common ownership since 1985,
It definitely was.
which I'm guessing from what you've already said, this was in common ownership since 1985. The second thing is that no new lots have been created under subdivision control since 1985 of that property. And if it's still all one common piece, then obviously that also gets satisfied. The other piece that's important is each access to those estate lots has to be 40 feet wide off the public way. And right now, the lot that he's labeled on this plan, or this sketch, or whatever we want to call it, as Lot 1C.
Only has 30.
As I read, it has 29.46 feet of frontage.
I see, right there.
Now, there's a second number there which says 10.77. I'm not sure what that number is. Because the number that's right on the street front says 29.46. Now, if you were to add those two together, you would have 40 feet.
That's what I was
Yeah,
just gonna
see,
say.
that was one of the things that
Distance there?
I had spoken with.
There's no
Mr.
radius,
about.
there's
It
no,
appears to
Said
be
that
a
there
little,
was
no,
really
there's no radius
Right there.
indicator on that side.
right there.
Other people that said that was doable too, but.
I'm not
Yeah, I
sure,
mean,
I'm not sure what those two
I mean,
numbers are.
I'm
so,
pretty sure the 40 was there, so I'm not,
so if, for example, if the 40 wasn't there, you might want to do something like that, okay? Just to widen that out, small piece of
It
piece
has to
to
be
get
back
you.
100 feet, though.
Oh, it does, okay,
Yeah.
all right, all right, so.
So
it's
it'd have to go back here
Yeah,
somewhere.
back up, okay,
Okay,
so, that away.
all right.
But if you have him, you know, just relook at that, revisit, you know, that question on that side, and then on the other side, the wetlands issue, then,
Sir, what if, my husband says, what if we built this up in here?
depends on
Constructed
whether, depends on whether you could or not.
Yeah, well,
Whether it's, you know,
There's no problem with building up if conservation says it's
Says it's
okay to build
okay,
it
right.
up.
Okay, all right. All right, so.
yeah, but you wouldn't want to just go ahead and bring a couple of truckloads worth of material in there and fill it over, that wouldn't be good.
Well, it gets me the house back then. and-
Well,
But you have to go to
Okay.
conservation first.
if- yeah, maybe, maybe.
Start, number one would be to go back to Mr. Garvey.
Yeah.
Say that we need the actual wetlands on the frontage, that 150 feet of frontage.
Okay,
We need those wetlands flagged.
okay.
If he comes back with a finding from a botanist, a wetlands botanist, which are the ones who are authorized to flag, then we can allow that to be approved as is. That other side in this sketch, I'm not sure what that 1077 is trying to show, because normally, if there's a change in direction, you see these little dotted lines here? That means there's a change in compass direction. Here, I don't see any dotted lines, and there's just two separate numbers. I'm not sure what that means. I'm not sure if he's trying to say this whole thing is 40 feet wide.
Yes, he should have been, yeah.
If it is 40 feet wide,
Then,
then that could be an estate lot as well.
Okay.
Because I think those two, or certainly with those two totals,
Yes.
you've got enough to get two estate lots. What an estate lot is means basically you can build a driveway and have the house set back.
Okay.
You don't have to go through subdivision control to do that. You would still have to go through the stormwater management component.
Okay. All right, well, we just.
So
we just want
let's-
the one house.
yeah, so let's say this. If you want to proceed with the plan that was the one lot, right? So we're gonna need to see the flagging on that, and, you know, depending upon what that shows us, then, you know, adjustments to lines or whatever, okay? So if you want to go ahead with the two estate lots, okay, then we would need to get a submission on that plan and have this one withdrawn,
Okay.
okay? So our next meeting is, we have technically 20 days to act on this from the date it was filed, so that would take us only to October 1st. So we can do a number of things tonight. We can say we are going to deny this plan based on what we've just discussed. You can agree to extend that date to either the 6th or the 20th of October, which are our next meetings, depending upon when you think that information can be gathered and put on the plans. And that's fine. So you
Yeah,
guys
I-
tell
I
us what you
think,
want to do.
I think if I can have that extension, my plan is to get back in touch with Mr. Garvey and make sure this is all
Yeah,
resolved.
maybe.
Okay, so do we think
My
that,
apologies.
do we think that 2 weeks is sufficient, or do we want a month?
A month would be
Okay.
ideal.
So let's say that we're going to continue this for a month until, well, more than a month, it's till October 20th at 7:15 PM, okay?
Okay.
Or it would be it's not it'll be our first item on the agenda, basically. It's not a formal public hearing. And within that time, you guys let us know what it is you want to do. If you want to withdraw this, we can do that and kind of start the process afresh with a new plan. If this is going to be modified, then great, but just keep us up to date. And I just need, in the record, you guys are consenting to a continuance to 10/20 here tonight.
Certainly,
Okay.
yes.
Please, thank you.
Okay, just a little word of warning here. If you decide to try and just go forward with that one lot on the left side, if you take that lot, then you can't get an estate lot on that other lot. Because the law says you can get up to 2 estate lots, but they have to be done together. If you get a new lot off that property and you carve out a piece, the estate lot bylaw no longer applies to that property. So you couldn't have a 40-foot frontage going out there unless you did a one-lot subdivision. And that would have to be done under subdivision control. Okay?
So you've got a bunch of options here.
Yeah, it sounds like that.
Who
all right.
knew?
Yeah, I'll, and you said, Mr.
Gardner.
Gardner?
Yes.
That it'd be okay if, perhaps the survey did connect.
He's free to contact me anytime.
Kind of hear your insight.
Yeah.
You speak.
We've talked many
You
times.
speak about it a little bit more eloquently than I ever could, so
Yeah,
thank you
so
for
that's-
articulating
this
this.
would be no problem.
I'm a kind of a novice with this process, and so this
That's
is,
fine.
Okay.
this is why we pay the surveyor.
Yeah, where is he? All right.
All
All right,
I'll take
yeah,
this
you
one
take
back.
that one back, we'll keep this one, you let us know what we're gonna
I
do,
will.
otherwise, motion, can we have a motion to continue till 10:20, please?
Second.
Motion is made by Mr. Gardner and seconded by
Second.
Mr. Crosby. All those in favor of that motion, so signify by saying aye.
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 And that is a unanimous vote of all members present and voting, and that is done with the owner's consent.
And that's 7:15.
No time, just,
No time?
no time. Thank you, guys. Okay. It being 7:15 tonight, we have a public hearing, and that is with respect to the proposed amendment to the to the B3 zone. That is section 5H of our zoning bylaws.
I think B2 is actually first on the agenda, right?
No, B3.
Is it?
Yep. 7:15, 7:30.
Backwards on the agenda.
Okay.
Lists for typos.
Oh, okay. So it is. Okay, so, public notice. The planning board of the town of East Bridgewater will hold a public hearing Monday, September 15th at 7:15 PM in the town office building, 175 Central Street, large second-floor conference room, to consider an amendment to section 5H of the zoning bylaws of the town to thereby permit residential uses on the second level of commercial buildings within the B3 zone. The planning board seeks public input relative to this proposal. The full text of the proposed zoning bylaw amendment is available for review during normal business hours at the Planning Building Department, 175 Central Street, second floor, and this notice was published in the Enterprise on, August 31st and September 8th. So at this time, we will declare the public hearing to be open. This is a matter that is being proposed by the Planning Board. So, just for basic summary purposes, this actually is something that we had considered in the spring. One of these was going to hopefully get on to the spring town meeting, annual town meeting warrant. For various reasons, it did not, but it is the same bylaw amendment being proposed here, not only for the B3, but on the next one for the B2 zones. And basically, that would, as I indicated, allow residential uses to be constructed on the second level of commercial buildings in either of those two zones. Mr. Gardner has been actively involved with this, and give Roy, if you wanted to add any additional comments. As I said, we've been through this, I think, with the B3 zone once before, so I don't know that there's any changes or what have you, but if you want to do that, and then we'll take any comment from the audience if there is any.
So just a quick summary. Since COVID, it's become obvious that office space, as pure commercial office space, is no longer in anywhere near the demand that it has been in the past. So for about 2 years, we've been reviewing the benefits of going to what's referred to under the State Zoning Act, and I believe was added to the State Zoning Act in 2020, actually under 40B, which is a slightly different code than 40A, but was added to 40A, I believe, in 2012, definition of mixed-use zoning. Under state law, there was always a bright line between residential zoning, which includes apartments and condominiums, as well as single-family and multifamily homes, and commercial uses, which are all kinds of business and industrial uses. So it's become clear, especially in the last couple of years, that to build a building strictly as commercial use in today's real estate market, as well as the rental market, doesn't make a lot of sense. We've had an approved special permit down at the intersection of Route 27 and 14 for almost a year, maybe even a year and a half now. It's clear that the owner of that property is going to have difficulty financing that as a pure commercial building. He was one of the generators of the request that we look at mixed-use zoning. The way the bylaw is proposed and written is very similar to what many towns have adopted. Best example I can think of that most of us would probably know is what's happened in downtown Whitman Center over the last 20 years or so when they adopted mixed-use zoning. All of those buildings that used to be vacant on the second floor now have residential, not all of them potentially, but the majority of them now have active residential apartments in the second floors. Downtown Whitman looks very different than it did 20 years ago. Although the buildings are still the same, you wouldn't notice the difference if you didn't know what was going on from a land use standpoint. We did adopt, shortly after the high school was built, a mixed-use district for our downtown. The reason that was done is we have a municipal wastewater treatment system available for the downtown area that was built as part of the high school project. After carefully looking this over, we decided it would make sense to, in the B2 or B3 zone in this specific case, would make sense to allow second floors in commercial buildings to be used as residential units. The specific language and dimensional requirements are to try and make sure that they're truly livable residential units, so that they not be less than 400 square feet in each apartment or rental unit. We don't want to see rooming houses appear on the second floor of the buildings, but we do want to see viable residential apartments being built, especially since we're one of the towns in southeastern Massachusetts with the lowest percentage of residential apartments available for rent. We're very near the bottom of the list. Majority of towns around us, especially in their street front strip zones, which in our case and in most cases are 200 feet wide, have adopted mixed-use zoning. So that's the proposal, to adopt mixed-use zoning, which would allow a mix of commercial uses. I mean, retail, service businesses, dentists, doctors, almost any of those criteria. And the second floor could be residential apartments, residential rentals. So that's the intent of the Planning Board Article number 2, to do mixed-use zoning in the B3 zone.
Is there anyone at this time, anyone in the audience would like to speak either in favor or against the proposed zoning article?
Is there a B3 zone map by chance?
That's actually on the zoning map. It's a bunch of areas that's in the town zoning map.
Largely, both B2 and B3 in East Bridgewater are on large roadways. They're, you know, major roadways.
The majority of them are on Route 18, Route 27, and Route 14. But if you look at the color-coded zoning map that's available on the, I think both the assessor's website as well as the town website, you can see all those zones.
Second time through, any other comments, questions, for or against? Third time, hearing none. Back to the board, any questions, comments from the board members?
Just to maybe clarify that, the biggest percentage of the zones that would be affected will be on Route 18. So the easterly side of Route 18, starting somewhere up in the vicinity of where Highland Street crosses, down almost all the way into downtown, is all B3. There's some percentage on the opposite side, which would be the westerly side of Route 18, that's B3. Or it could be B2. The intent is both of those districts would basically change with identical wording. There's some B4 in there as well. The B4 is typically much deeper than 200 feet, and the intent of B4 is to get a major business, not a narrow strip office building kind of things. Downtown where Carriage Crossing is, that's all B4. So the best way I can answer that would be to look at the color-coded map that's online.
Any other thoughts from the board?
What's this little section of B3 down in Plymouth Street?
There is some on Plymouth Street as well, that's correct. On Route 106, yeah, I neglected to mention Route 106, but
Across from the Y? No?
I believe yes.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
Is that near the Lotus? Is B3 the Lotus?
There is some B3 down there, there's no question about that. I can't, off the top of my head, say exactly where it starts and ends. I'd have to look at the map to,
No other comments from the audience. The chair would entertain a motion to close the public comment section of the hearing.
so moved.
Motion,
Second.
Mr. Gard, or motion, Mrs. Phillips, and seconded by Mr. Gardner. Further discussion, there being none. All those in favor say aye.
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 And opposed, so voted. At this time, the chair would await a motion from the board, or if there was other discussion, the motion that would be appropriate would be to recommend to the special town meeting the approval of the article as presented.
I'd like to move that motion, please.
Motion is made by Mrs. Phillips to recommend adoption of the zoning amendment for the B3 zone to section 5H of our zoning bylaw. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second that.
Seconded by Mrs. Tedesco. Any further discussion? There being none, all those in favor, so signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed, so voted. It being 7:30, we'll declare that public hearing to be closed at this time.
Just clarification, Mr. Chairman,
That's yours?
I think that's going to reflect a 5 in favor, none opposed, is that correct?
That is correct, if I didn't say that. It is a unanimous vote of all members present and voting. So then we will have the second public hearing, that is with respect to the B2 zone. The public notice, the planning board of the town of East Bridgewater will hold a public hearing on Monday, September 15th, 2025, at 7:30 PM in the town office building, 175 Central Street, large second-floor conference room, to consider an amendment to Section 5G of the zoning bylaws of the town and to thereby permit residential uses on the second level of commercial buildings within the B2 zone. The planning board seeks public input relative to this proposal. The full text of the proposed zoning bylaw amendment is available for review during normal business hours at the Planning Building Department, 175 Central Street, second floor. And this notice was likewise published in the Enterprise on August 31 and September 8. So as Mr. Gardner just went over for B3, basically the same logic and intent with respect to B2. Is there any other discussion from the board with respect to any of this? Roy, do you have any other comments
No,
specific
I
to
think
B2?
I'll just add to what we said earlier, that the language for this is basically identical. The reason there's a separate article is the way our zoning bylaw is written. All of the requirements for allowed uses and special permit uses in our zoning bylaw are divided up in the bylaw by district. So we needed to have one for each district, even though the language is identical. So everything that we've just discussed for the last 5 or 10 minutes applies exactly the same here. So it includes both B2 and B3 districts. The downtown area, which is B5, already allows mixed-use zoning.
Comments, questions from the audience? Second time, comments, questions, for or against? Third time, hearing none. Chair will entertain a motion to close the public comment section of the public hearing.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Gardner, is there a second?
Second.
Motion is made by Mr. Gardner, seconded by Mrs. Tedesco. Close the public comment section of the public hearing. All those in favor, so signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed. Unanimous vote of all members present and voting. Chair would entertain a motion, unless there is additional discussion, Chair would entertain a motion to, at the pleasure of the board.
I'll make a motion.
To
Move to recommend adoption.
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Crosby makes the motion to recommend to the special town meeting adoption of the proposed amendment to bylaw section 5G for the B2 zone. Second to that motion?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Gardner. Further discussion on the motion? There being none, all those in favor, so signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed. Unanimous vote of all members present and voting. Public hearing for the B2 article is closed. Okay. Okay, so a couple of items left. Layla Estates, still following Layla Estates in the matter of the street lighting. The most recent indication is that it's still with National Grid Engineering. So I will just keep that on the list unless somebody has any other comments, but that'll stay on the list just to continue to track and make certain that we get those folks some lights in the near future. Blackbrook Estates, That was an issue with regard to continuing engineering. My understanding is that the applicant slash developer will be at the office tomorrow to square that all away. That on the items being followed as well to our next meeting, in case that does not happen. Any further comment or question from the board there with respect to continuing engineering, expense and inspection? Red Maple Path, Roy, was that yours? Stormwater permit?
Yeah, just a quick update on Red Maple Path. I've had multiple discussions with the DPW, the way the current Stormwater Management Act works. I should say Stormwater Management Bylaw, which flows down from Stormwater Management Federal Law to Stormwater Management State Law to our local bylaw, which sets the standards for local stormwater management in the town of East Bridgewater. It's been pretty clearly decided with all of the parties involved that for individual lots, well, let me first say for the subdivision that was approved there, which is a one-lot subdivision for the lot which would be the furthest to the rear on Route 106, that was approved under subdivision control, which shows the engineering associated with the stormwater management. The two Form A lots are gonna have a detailed engineered plan showing current topology as well as all the existing grades and the planned finished grades after the project or after the construction on each of those lots is done. That's gonna require an engineered plan before construction and after construction, or as we refer to it from a land use standpoint, an as-built plan. So we need a design plan and then an as-built plan for each of those two Form A lots that are on either side of the subdivision road. And the subdivision road is gonna be called, based on the current plans that we approve, Red Maple Path. So it's been unclear to some extent in the past, and this has been a moving target since stormwater management was just adopted fairly recently in the town of East Bridgewater, based on the requirements, again, under federal and state law. Overly simplified, and very overly simplified, the requirement simply is that when you do work on a lot that requires more than 5,000 square feet of disturbance, that you are not allowed to add additional stormwater runoff onto adjacent property. And that applies to everything where more than 5,000 square feet of land is disturbed. That's always been the case under the Massachusetts zoning bylaw, but there's now a stricter law that basically says you've now got to file a plan that shows here's where things go ahead of time, before the land is disturbed. And here's what it's gonna look like when it's finished. And that plan has to demonstrate the fact that you're not adding any runoff that's gonna leave that property onto adjacent property that wasn't already there. So again, overly simplified, but an engineer would have to do that plan to show those, the before and after, if you will. So we being the planning board, myself specifically, and the DPW are working together to try and put together a page or two of what we're gonna call rules and regulations that make that extremely clear. The law is already clear, I believe, if you like reading extensive laws, which most people don't, but we're trying to put it down in a page or two as rules and regulations, so it's clear to any applicant before the DPW and or the planning board what the minimum requirements are gonna be under stormwater management. I think that's all I got.
Okay. Take care of that at this point. And the last item that we have under items followed is Townhouse Commons. You will recall that back probably a couple of times, we had an issue with regard to the removal of some of the plantings that were in tough shape, I guess, for lack of a better phrase.
They were.
along the parking lot. We received we had discussion with a couple of representatives from the condo association at that meeting, and the indication was that there would be some replacement greenery being installed. We did receive a letter from Beth Resendez. Is this Beth? Okay, very nice, Beth, nice to see you. Beth indicated that 5 new arborvitaes have been planted to provide privacy between the townhouses and neighbors. These will grow to 15 feet tall. I did go by there last couple of days and did see that those are indeed planted. They do not necessarily meet the 6-foot standard, I don't think, or the 6-foot requirement. So that may still be an issue. There may be some comment coming on that. But my view of that is that that becomes a building commissioner slash zoning enforcement officer issue rather than a planning board issue. But I'll leave it to Beth, if you have any other comments.
No, as stated, I don't know if hi, Beth Resendez, treasurer and trustee of the townhouse.
Thankless job, I'm sure.
Counting down the days until I'm done.
There you go.
So we did remove some trees in January of this year. We had a tree fall and damage one car and total another car. So to minimize the opportunity for that to happen again, the trees, as stated, were in some rough shape. So we had those removed this spring. We were not aware, we don't have anyone that has lived there since 1988, when I was in 2nd grade. So we weren't aware of of what was originally sent to the builders of the townhouses. So when we were made aware, we did purchase the arborvitae. Yes, they're not at the 6 feet right now. Everything I've read, we also didn't want to purchase, we wanted to minimize the opportunity to have them plant anything that would fall again to damage cars. So hence why we planted those. And everything that we've read and been told that those will grow 1 to 2 feet per year. So again, we chose those because that would, rather than just hitting the 6 feet, they will grow to 15 feet and 4 feet wide, each of them, which will provide full privacy.
Snow. Comments?
Yes, Lindy Snow. Hi, everybody. Yeah,
Can't
but
see
if,
you.
Beth, if you had the trees taken down that were bad,
Mm-hmm.
by planting the 6-foot trees that's supposed to be there, there wouldn't be any trees that would fall on.
So, and may I address over here? So, I mean, the reason why we chose those is because they would grow to 15 feet and provide the full privacy and not just have the 6 feet, which would then still provide a view into our parking lot. So that's what we were thinking when we selected those.
That's not the condition that was put on by the planning board back. It was a minimum of 6 foot, and it's across the whole back. And 25 feet from the easterly and 40 feet from the westerly side. And they planted 5 3-foot arborvitaes.
So if I could, for clarification, all of the documents that I've seen were actually issued by the zoning board of appeals. And they do fall under the zoning bylaw?
Yes, I have it right here.
Yeah, we have copies.
5/8/13.
Yeah. Yeah, that was the question that came up after the ZBA granted that, because there was a question asked at that point as what the screening requirement was.
Right.
But the actual special permit was granted by the zoning board of appeals. The enforcement of that special permit and enforcement of the zoning bylaw, which this letter references, is the requirement of the building commissioner slash zoning enforcement officer.
Okay.
So, and there is a letter, a fairly recent letter from him on file here, dated May 28th, 2025, it isn't specific to address that issue, and I'm not even sure if the new trees were planted by May 28th, 2025 or not.
No, they
It
were
wasn't
not.
clear to me.
But aren't they supposed to be across the whole perimeter?
Can I'm sorry.
I don't want to try and answer that, Lindy, because that actually belongs to the building commissioner, because he's the one who has to enforce both the special permit as well as the zoning bylaw section that applies to when multi-unit residential properties abut single-family residential properties, which is that section of the bylaw.
Okay, so it's up to him, I gotta see him.
It's up to the building commissioner
Okay.
to issue an enforcement if he deems it appropriate. And I don't want to get into the issue of whether he sees a problem or not, because that's really, legally, that's his ownership. Okay?
See him, yeah. Okay, great, thanks.
And to clarify this for you as well, the building commissioner, zoning enforcement officer owns this issue.
Okay,
So the way that's supposed to work is that someone that's making a complaint makes a actual complaint in writing to the building commissioner,
okay,
citing the various documentation that's involved, which would be the special permit and that section of the zoning bylaw, which as Mr. Snow pointed out, was mentioned in a letter when that question was originally raised by, I believe, Mr. Snow in 1988, as construction was ongoing at that site, what screening requirements were gonna be. So it's really up to either the abutters to come up to a solution, or it's up to Mr. Snow to file a written complaint with the building commissioner and let the building commissioner make a decision.
and what's the building commissioner's name?
Patrick Franny.
Okay,
You.
thank you.
He's in the planning, building department
Okay.
office right down the hall there,
Yes.
so.
I shot him an email last week with the pictures in preparation.
Okay. Okay?
Okay, so you may or may not have further dialogue, discussion, won't be with us, but, hopefully it resolves itself and everybody goes on, you complete your term and move on to, speaking as a trustee of a condominium as
9
well,
months.
I know what you're talking about. Okay. Anything else to come before the board tonight?
I don't really have anything else.
I will.
Mr. Crosby,
Yes.
motion.
Motion to adjourn?
I second that.
In the absence of Mr. Lawler, a motion to adjourn is made by Mr. Crosby and seconded by Mrs. Tedesco. All those in favor, so signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed. Thank you all, and good night.
Good night.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Russell,
Good to see you again, Beth. It's been a while.
Two.